Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching an India Today special broadcast. I'm Rahul Kanwal. Over the last 48 hours, we've been inundated by questions around the big India Today Access My India post-poll study. So what we've done is we've condensed all those questions into 10 critical FAQs, frequently asked questions. And over the next 1 hour, I'll be joined by some of the sharpest political minds, and we look at the data processed by the India Today Data Intelligence Unit to try and make sense of some of these questions. So what are the kind of questions you can expect will be answered over the next 1 hour? Have we witnessed a Hindu awakening in West Bengal? Why did the Congress's performance in the assembly elections not roll over into the Lok Sabha elections? Are Muslims India's most unified vote bank? If jobs is the biggest issue, how did unemployed voters cast their mandate in this election? Why did the caste arithmetic of the SP-BSP fail according to the exit poll? If agrarian distress was such a big issue, how did farmers and those associated with agriculture vote in 2019? Why did the caste arithmetic of SP-BSP fail? Was the BJP able to build a bigger social coalition? What does the BJP's new vote bank look like? Remember, this is a party that was initially perceived as being a Banya traders party. Has it been able to rework what lies at the core of the BJP voter engine? So those questions and more will be answered by the India Today Data Intelligence team over the next 1 hour through the insights that we've picked up from the India Today Access My India post-poll study. Let me introduce to you the guests joining us for this broadcast. I want to start with the most important person who put this entire post-poll study together, Pradeep Gupta, lead cephalogist for Access My India. I don't see the helmet on his head, but I'm sure he's carrying one, because the entire opposition of this country is gunning for this man if he gets his exit poll numbers.
India Today is my helmet.
India Today is a helmet. Well said, sir. Well said. Okay, so he wants to get the helmet smashed first. Okay, with us also is GVL Narasimha Rao, one-time cephalogist. He's been looking at all the data that Pradeep has got out and saying that this is such lovely data, I can present it. He wants to return back to his cephalogist hat. We're saying, hey, who knows? You could be minister soon if the data comes out to be true. So he's not counting on that just yet. Manisha Priyam joins us as well. To my right, I want to introduce Professor Sandeep Shastri from Jain University, Lok Niti. Flanking him, one of India's most renowned political scientists, Professor Mahesh Rangarajan. And the young man to his right could have been a student, but is a member of India Today's Data Intelligence Unit, Samarth Bansal. He's helped me in putting together the answers to these questions. So, let's start with question number 1. Are we witnessing a Hindu awakening in West Bengal according to the results of the India Today Access My India poll? Remember, the BJP always felt that in Bengal, the Hindu identity was subsumed. It's a state that's seen strong class polarization, with the left parties being strong over there, but they never really had the Hindu identity up front, at least not in recent years. It happened much earlier when there was partition, communal riots, but not recently. Has that happened? I want to take you through the results of the India Today Access My India data for West Bengal, which really brings this out. If you look at the Muslim voters of West Bengal, 65% of the Muslim voters have voted for the Tsunamo Congress. That's 6 out of 10. Look at the non-minority vote. The BJP, according to our poll, picks up about 57% of the SC vote, the Dalit vote in a state where Dalits are in big numbers, and 53% of the OBC and general category vote, which are the Hindu votes. Therefore, Pradeep Gupta, it would not be wrong to say that your data suggests that there has been some kind of a Hindu awakening, that the BJP's attempt to stir the communal cauldron, that make Hindus more aware of their Hindu identity, get them to think as Hindus first, is working in their favor, according to your poll at least.
It's a multiple thing, of course, including Hindu and Muslim impact, but there are other things as well. If you see carefully, our vote share for TMC and for the BJP, it is 41% for the both, and in fact in last general election, TMC secured 40%, so it is an increase for them, but BJP is gaining very large number of vote share on account of CPM left parties. They secured last time 25%. Now they are sitting about 5%. So that is
They've
the one
fallen
of the
to a
case.
fifth of where they were.
Yes.
It's interesting, Mahesh Rangarajan, that we're seeing the left voter switch from the left side of the political spectrum to the right. Is that a big jump in a state like West Bengal?
Except the minority votes, we also asked last time whom you voted for. Most of the minority who voted for CPM last time, they switched to TMC or retained or switched to the Congress. But as far as Hindu voters is concerned, large number of them shifted to BJP.
No, I think if you go back, Bengal had a two-party system or a two-front system. And in 84, following assassination of Srimati Indira Gandhi, Congress had won 17 seats, but they were not able to retain it. There is a very important point, and it has emerged very well in this survey. Bengal has got a very large number of Dalits. And among scheduled castes, there is a very important group, the Namashudras. And these are groups who earlier had been with Congress and gone to left. And I think in the recent past, there is a transformation. Now remember, these are groups which have a very deep religiosity, no matter whether they're with Congress or with left. So I think this growth of BJP is that there is a vacuum in Bengal. Left is collapsing, Congress is not reviving. Mamata Banerjee's party has now been in power for 9-10 years almost. It has been the dominant force for a decade. And I think the BJP has come with a certain amount of energy which a cadre-based party has. So TMC, which is a new version of the Congress party, has never faced a cadre party. CPM has disappeared. So somewhere I think this is a very significant...
No, but can I argue just for a moment, GVL Narasimha Rao, this may be successful electorally but is very dangerous politics, because West Bengal is one state that has seen very, very violent, bloody communal riots. The moment the communal chasm is widened, this could burst to the fore in very ugly fashion.
Rahul, the blame for any communal tension should entirely be laid at the doorstep of the TMC, not the BJP. This is not a Hindu awakening. This is a Hindu reaction to aggressive appeasement and very vulgar appeasement of the minorities by the Mamata Banerjee government. I think in West Bengal, you have not seen the communal divisions like they were evident in the Hindi belt states. For several decades, these divisions have been visible. But West Bengal as a society, these divisions were never visible, only because TMC had aggressively indulged in appeasement. I think this has come as a reaction.
Now we've seen Sandeep Shastri, the BJP do this successfully in Uttar Pradesh against Akhilesh Yadav. They made the same point, that in the Muslim areas, bijli aati hai, non-Muslim areas mein bijli nahi aati, VIP areas mein aati hai, non-aati. They did it against Tarun Gogoi in Assam, where they did pretty much the same thing, that this is a government of the minorities. Whether you call it a Hindu awakening or consolidation of the Hindu vote bank, they've achieved it elsewhere. It seems to be working in West Bengal as well, according to this data.
Rahul, I think if we were to explain the success of the BJP in West Bengal on this factor of the Hindu vote and Hindu awakening, I think we would be doing injustice to what's happening in West Bengal, because I think it is a factor and not the factor. Yeah. I think there are multiple factors playing a role here in the way the BJP is rising in West Bengal. And even if you go by the statistics of 57%, 53%, you still are talking of a big chunk of 40+% not being with the BJP. So you cannot talk of a revival where, while a majority of a group, a community may be with the BJP, I don't think it in that sense constitutes a revival. I would see more as the BJP providing a platform for various forces which were not comfortable with the way the TMC was going about its politics, including supporters of the Congress and left and the traditional supporters of the BJP, all coming together now.
It is essentially an invocation of the Hindu identity around the idea of the Trinamool's appeasement, and therefore you've been able to get a lot of the traditional voters of the left, Manisha Priyam, to switch over the ideological spectrum. But how does this happen? That I grew up as a left supporter, I've been reading Marx and Lenin as I grew up, and I'm happy to switch to the BJP. How does that work, Manisha Priyam?
So if you try and understand Bengal in terms of there being a metropolitan capital of the idea of Bengal in Kolkata, and if you see the rural parts, you'll find that the Hindu identity card is playing far stronger in the rural areas where there have been, remember the partition of India on the side of Punjab and in West Bengal have been two different kind of things. On this side, there has been a porous border. The same issue of Bangladeshi infiltrators that has worked in Assam in favor of the BJP led there by Himanta Biswa Sarma. That's something that's working in the rural areas, because here very poor Hindus live along with very poor Muslims, and the noises I get to hear, for example, in the Ganga Sagar area, for example, there's somebody called the Kapil Muni who's supposed to have his ashram there. So I hear from many rural women who were supporters of the CPM. Now these were not women who had read Karl Marx or anybody else, but the rumor there is that it is Kapil Muni who saved us at the time of the Titli cyclone also, but now we are in danger.
Okay.
And I'm not going to, no, you're going to give me 1 second more. So what I find, the rural arguments are far more Hindu, they are not nuanced, but the ones that are coming from Kolkata are saying, look, there's too much happening from the TMC, we wanted to oppose the syndicate, there were many other things that the Mamata government was doing, so our anti-CPM, anti-TMC vote is now a pro-BJP vote. So difference between the rural and the urban, I think a far more Hindu sympathy in rural parts of West Bengal, and here, to the BJP's credit, they have not less than 50 offices there. So who was stopping the CPM or the Congress party from opening these offices? Now the rural poor also say that the BJP is here if the TMC goons come back today or tomorrow, the BJP is there to protect us. So these are the arguments. I think there is a difference between the arguments as far as rural West Bengal is concerned, which wasn't a Marxist-Leninist idea really, but that of cadre-held, party-held, rural masses.
So I want to come now to the second question that we're going to take on the show, where we are addressing your FAQs around India Today's exit poll. Are Muslims India's most united vote bank? So let's put the numbers on our screen right now. We're looking at different states and the percentage of the Muslim vote that's gone in favor of different parties and alliances. I'll start with Uttar Pradesh, where 76% of the Muslim vote has gone to the Mahagathbandhan, that's the SP and the BSP. In West Bengal, 78% of the Muslim vote has gone to the Trinamool Congress. In Bihar, 79% of the Muslim vote has gone to the RJD and the Congress. In Jharkhand, 80% has gone to the JMM Congress, Babulal Marandi alliance. In Maharashtra, 75% to the NCP Congress. In Karnataka, 87% to the JDS and the Congress. In Assam, 71%. In Kerala, 59% to the Congress and 43% to the others, which is mostly the LDF. Samarth Bansal, you looked at the level of consolidation amongst other communities as well. Are Muslims more consolidated than other communities?
So Rahul, what we find is that across states, this it's not, for instance, we see that in Bihar, there's a high consolidation with the Congress UPA, but when you go to West Bengal, the party that the Muslims are supporting changes. So bulk of the vote goes to Trinamool. So it's not loyal to a particular party, but in a given state, the anti-BJP party that is in majority, that's getting the majority, that is where a high proportion of Muslim vote goes to that particular.
No, but let's look at the numbers. 76 in UP, 78 in West Bengal in favor of the Trinamool, 79% in Bihar in favor of the RJD Congress. Pradeep Gupta, these are higher levels of consolidation amongst any community in the country. So it is correct to say that Muslims are amongst the most unified community, and they voted again. They voted for whoever they thought was best placed to beat the BJP.
That's true, 100% true. Not a single % doubt on this. Not a single. Across the country, this is the phenomenon.
But what we are seeing, Rahul Srivastava, the BJP do then is, they are saying, okay, put this Muslim vote on the side, whatever it may be, 15% in some states, 20 on the other, we'll get the rest of the 80 or we'll try and target them. So they are attempting, just electorally, to make the Muslim community virtually irrelevant to their plan, saying, diya nahi diya, aap to waisi nahi deta hu, waisi jeet jayenge, chodo.
Yes, precise, Rahul. What Samarth said has a point, that Muslims are gravitating towards a party which is in best position to beat the BJP. But if that party does not have a core vote bank of its own, then comes the trouble. The BJP in 2014 and 2017 very successfully did it in UP, that by uniting the non-Jata Dalits, the non-Yadav OBCs, the MBCs and the upper caste, created a kind of a Hindu monolith which was difficult to beat even if all the Muslims united vote for
So now Shama
else.
Muhammad of the Congress is also with us. Now the problem with the opposition in the past having relied so heavily on the minority vote as the Congress has done is that there is a backlash from the others, which is the majority community, and they're saying, okay, let them vote for the opposition, we can vote for the BJP. That is problematic at different levels. It makes the minority community virtually irrelevant to the electoral conversation in this country. They're saying, okay, we can win without you. So some of this appeasement politics is having a blowback which can be seen in this post-poll study. Shama Mohammed.
See, Rahul, I don't think there has been any sort of appeasement politics, and this sort of majoritism can happen for some time, but it cannot be continuously and constantly. I mean, if you look at how you're saying that in West Bengal, I was just listening to, I think, Mr. GVL, he said that the Hindus are rising against the TMC, you know. But what I've seen of West Bengal politics for ages is that the politics of West Bengal has always been bloody. It has always been a lot of violence. When there was CPM also there, and then the TMC came in, it has had a history of violent politics. And let's not forget that CPM is known for violent politics. It is also known, I mean, it is known for, and the reaction we see also in Kerala, the similar case. Now you have also a huge Muslim population there. You have a very strong RSS in Kerala, but why is the polarization not happening there? They've been trying for a long time. So I think one important thing is that literacy works.
What do you think is at play? Are we seeing the minorities? They're clearly not present in the BJP's game plan. They never say so publicly. But when they are strategizing at the back end, they're saying they're discounting the 15-20% Muslim population and saying, okay, we'll try and win with the rest of the 80.
Yeah, this 14.2% as per last census, there are, I would say, differences in different parts of India. In much of southern India, the major parties which have mobilized Muslims, qua Muslims, are openly sectarian. The Majlis-e-Ittihad al-Muslimin in the Hyderabad pocket, and of course the IUML in Kerala. But by and large in South India, you will find that they will be aligned either with regional parties or Congress. And this is related to the fact levels of education, employment are very different, particularly in Tamil Nadu and to an extent in Kerala. My sense in North India is different. I think up to 89-90, Congress is seen as a protector of what were called the Garib and the Pichda. Now this is a claim they made. I'm not saying their record was fantastic, but whether it was Dalits, minorities and large sections of the poor, they were gravitating to Congress, particularly after late 60s. This ended in 89-90. We know that in this era of the Mandir Masjid politics, SP, BSP, RJD, Janata Dal came up in a big way. But I think there's something very important we should point out about BJP also. See, in many states, Muslims are on the OBC list. BJP has not denied them that. In fact, in many states, including in Bihar, where they've held power, the OBC Muslims are on the list. Second, Professor Shastri can correct me, if you look at the last election in UP, it's very interesting. The Muslim vote percentage of BJP went up from 4 to 11%. Now, the qualitative evidence was very interesting. Many of those who had voted for, they were a minority, but 11 is much larger than 4, said 8, it doubled. They said it's not our job to stop the BJP every time. We will look at every party in terms of its record and power. So I am a little hesitant whether Muslims act unifiedly, and I would argue that in any case, they are not a majority anywhere, except in a very few constituencies in the country. This 14% adds on to the one who's winning. And often they go with the person who assures not only physical security, but addresses certain issues.
But should the BJP not do more, GVL, in trying to win over the Muslims? For example, giving more tickets to Muslim candidates, trying to actually aggressively win them over instead of discounting them and fighting your elections?
No, Rahul, I think you have seen a certain competitive appeasement politics being played out by so-called secular parties. In the name of secularism, you have seen how secularism has actually been murdered in this country. Appeasement was considered secularism. If you go to Kolkata, you will see Mamata Banerjee in hoardings, in a particular attire only to appease a particular community. She would stop Durga idol immersion only to appease. This is very, very bad politics, bad optics. It is because of that there is a reaction in the other communities. We are not doing anything to consolidate Hindus. We would like to have...
Your answer doesn't answer my question. I'm saying, what are you doing to try and win over the minority?
I think they will. Today, you are talking about Muslim vote being a non-factor. I see a spate of articles in media today. Oh, they have been so important, they could dictate everything. They determine the political outcomes. This time they are irrelevant. I think they will have to realize that it is in their interest to not go for parties which have only appeased them and not offered them anything in return. BJP has not made any distinction, discrimination as far as governance is concerned. Cite one policy. Cite
But
one
is
program.
that enough, Manisha Prem, to
So
get
I think
minorities
the
to vote?
community also has to undergo a change of heart. We are open. We will give as many tickets as we can really make them win.
So
It's a community that also has to start thinking.
No, here I'd like to differ and say somewhat. Many nuanced pictures. In Lucknow, for example, Kalbe Jawad offered open support to Rajnath Singh ji.
Yes.
Rajnath Singh ji went and met Kalbe Sadiq. This wasn't just the Shia votes. Rajnath Singh ji also went to the Nadwa. So these three pictures were in my heart as I saw the Lucknow campaign. Not one word of communal disharmony. And that campaign should be really a picture-perfect campaign that I saw. I'm so happy to see it this way.
Sandeep Shastri.
No, just one more.
No, we need
one
to step
more.
it up. We need to
yeah,
move
I know,
fast.
so I
Okay.
get less time. So in Patna, for example, many Muslim students telling me that last time around in 2014, they had voted the BJP. And that was what my instinct was at that point of time. But they said that it seemed over the last 5 years, 4.5 years, that the Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas simply excluded us and included everybody else. It's for the BJP to reach out now.
I think the data clearly shows that the Muslim community, large segments of it, are strategically voting for those parties which are seen as being able to defeat the BJP. I think there is sufficient evidence to show this point. And they also make a difference between which of those parties is able to, if there is a choice, they would choose the one which they feel is most likely to defeat the BJP. I'll make another point, and this is not just the BJP, it's about all parties. At one level, we say that representation to this community should be based upon the winnability of the candidates. Now, I have often believed this winnability is quite a vacuous term. And at the end of the day, a party can define and decide the winnability of candidates. So, is that a mask that a lot of parties use in order not to put up a candidate of that?
So I will now take up the question of, if unemployment was such a big issue in the elections, how did those who identify themselves as jobless vote in 2019? Coming up on your screen now is the national aggregate for the unemployed vote. Remember, it's about 7% of our data, Samarth?
Yes.
And so it's 7% of the overall sample. Amongst those who said they were unemployed, 43% said they voted for the NDA, 27% said they voted for the UPA, 30% voted for others. Now this question, Pradeep Gupta, is the one that's asked again and again. Your PSC data showed unemployment is the biggest issue.
Even
so people are
this
asking,
time,
if unemployment is the biggest issue, why are the employed voting
I'm
for
telling you,
Modi?
even in this, I think you will come in the rest of the program. What were the issues? 33%, even in during the exit poll, which is sitting high on the number one among the issues. See, most important is unemployment is the issue. Who is likely to address? Who is better placed to address? Who is seen as addressing these issues, is trying. I mean, that's more important when it comes to, they have to select one out of two.
So I think this is important for people to process and understand, Sandeep Shastri, that it's not about
Where is the roadmap?
the fact that unemployment is an issue. Yes, it's the biggest problem. People face that very acutely. They're looking at who they think is best placed to resolve that.
Beyond a shadow of doubt, successive polls have shown, if you ask people what's your most important issue, unemployment. Let me also make another point. The closer you come to an election, it becomes a little less important, because as you approach an election, a voter is looking at the immediate choices that is available before him or her, which are the parties which can resolve the issues. And besides unemployment, as an election approaches, there are a range of other issues which also come up. And when a voter votes, I don't think it's a singular issue which makes them vote in a particular way. It's a range of issues, of which one is employment, and around election time a range of other issues also come.
So it's not, Mahesh Rangarajan, just about voters being upset with jobs not being available. Yes, that is genuinely a problem. It doesn't mean that that problem's been wished away. It's a genuine problem, but they think that Modi ji is best placed to solve it for them.
No, in the olden time, people said that in multi-party system, the winner gets less than 50% of vote, 40, 45, 43, and still wins. Look at this figure, it's very interesting. 57% of them are opting for other parties. But the reality is there's no credible challenger. whatever the credibility of the other parties, it is far less than the person in power.
No, that's a regional party. Let me correct
No.
here that other includes all the regional party other than BJP and Congress.
But in the 543 seats as a whole, the person with 43 in this system is head and shoulders above the others, and there is a reason. Even if growth across the world, there is this phenomenon that growth and jobs are not keeping pace. But the person in power is seen as the safe pair of hands. But there's something more. I think, BJP, we discuss a lot about BJP in terms of Hindutva, and we have different views. But I think under Modi period, it has identified with the poor, the weaker section of society. It's a political term, I don't like the term, and even the jobless, much more than ever in its past.
No.
Because the signaling, it's the signaling, whether the record is good or not is a matter experts can look into. Compare this to 2009. The UPA did very well. At that time, wages had expanded, jobs had expanded. There is a big debate today whether this has happened. But the reality is the challenger lacks the credibility. The direction is seen as right. Even if the delivery is not adequate, the signal has gone.
Direction is
and
right,
43 for a party in power.
Adequate yet, but bharosa abhi bhi Modi pe. Manisha,
No, I disagree here because with Mahesh definitely here because as I had seen in 2014, it was a wave and euphoria amongst the youth, and in places like Gumla, for example, where I tracked the Modi rally, that city had a Maoist called Band at that point of time. 3 o'clock, shops are open, Mr. Modi comes, and the things he says, a direct appeal to the youth saying, बंदूक छोड़ो, कलम उठाओ, हल चलाओ, और रास्ता जो है वो पढ़ाई लिखाई का है, बंदूक और हथियार और खून का नहीं है. This time around, no direct references to the youth. I would say that the BJP is more than making it up by its victories elsewhere, where such direct appeals had not been made. In Uttar Pradesh itself, if you see some amount of no direct talking by Mr. Modi to the youth, as he had done in 2014.
Okay, let
and some
Samarth
amount
answer
of
that. Samarth, you
disaffection
actually
there
calculated the
amongst
amount of
youth.
time Prime Minister
Rajbhar's
Modi
resignation
spends
is
on different
precise example.
issues. One second. Because I have some empirical data.
Misreading data. So I must tell you,
Who's misreading
no,
data?
I'll tell you. Depending, you see, what is the question that you ask? What is the biggest issue or what is the problem that you face today?
Correct.
It is relative to a time. In 2014, you went and asked people, they said corruption is my problem because there was so much corruption around. But today, when there is no governance failure, when corruption is not a problem, price rise is not a problem, then you mention unemployment, poverty, they have been issues for 70 years, and for next 50 years, they will remain on the top of the list if there is no price rise, if there is no corruption. So it's all relative. This how today, if somebody were to slap any of us outside for 2-3 days, we'll say law and order is a problem. Until that happens, it's not a problem. So unemployment is certainly not a major issue today. But in the absence of governance failure,
come on, GVL. It cannot be that you like all the data sets in our survey except the one that talks about unemployment. Everything else, this bit that shows you may get 335 seats, that you like.
No, I'm telling you,
unemployment is the biggest problem.
We have 335 there because you don't have price rise on the top of this, you don't have corruption on the top of this list. If you had them on the top of this list, that would be something else.
Okay, Samarth?
I have a data point to add to this conversation. So in March 2019, according to another survey conducted by Lokniti, a very interesting finding was reported where 46% of respondents said that their prospects of getting a job under the NDA government had decreased in the last 5 years as compared to around 35% during the previous UPA government. However, still 40% of people who said that their employment prospects had decreased said that Modi is to get another chance to solve this problem. So the problem exists, but who they think can solve the problem is the Prime Minister Modi. I think that is the sentiment that is running around.
Let's now move to the next question.
Overall trust in Modi.
Why did caste arithmetic of the SP, BSP fail in Uttar Pradesh? We'll take you through the different caste and community classifications for Uttar Pradesh and try and make sense of this. Why is it that the caste arithmetic of the SP and the BSP failed in Uttar Pradesh? Now, if you look at some of the community breakups, you're actually seeing the BJP poll, except for the Jatavs and for the Muslims and the Yadavs, high percentage of votes amongst all the other communities. So we'll start, for example, with tribal voters. 61% of the tribal voters in UP told us that they voted for the BJP, 23% for the Mahagathbandhan. That's the ST vote. Let's now come to the Jatav vote, the Dalit vote. That's Mayawati's core constituency. 74% of the Jatav Dalits told us they voted for the Mahagathbandhan. 19% said they voted for the BJP. Let's now go to the non-Jatav Dalits. Here it's very interesting. This is one of the most significant findings of our study. 57% of those who weren't from Mayawati's community said they voted for the BJP, which essentially means that BSP is now primarily a party just of the Jatavs. That's the community that Mayawati herself belongs to. Outside her community, amongst the other Dalits, 57% said they voted for the BJP. Only 30% voted for the Gathbandhan. This is what you're seeing on your screen for the first time. One of the most significant findings of this study, and one of the reasons why the SP and the BSP are doing so badly and the BJP is doing so well, that apart from the Jatavs, now we're backing that up with empirical study, apart from the Jatav Dalits, the non-Jatav Dalits have actually shifted over in large numbers to the BJP. Let's move down now. Amongst the Muslims, 76% of the respondents tell us that they voted for the Gathbandhan. Only 8% of UP's Muslims say they voted for the BJP. Amongst the Yadavs, you've got 72% of the Yadavs telling us they voted for the Gathbandhan. 18% of the Yadavs said they voted for the BJP. 18% of the Yadavs amongst Mulayam Singh's own community say they voted for the BJP. 6% voted for the Congress. Let's now come to the Jats, because the RLD was an important factor in Western Uttar Pradesh. But even amongst the RLD supporters who are considered the Jats, 55% said they voted BJP, 35% said they voted Gathbandhan. So amongst the Jats as well, Ajit Singh's magic stands highly diminished. They've chosen to go for the BJP
Rahul,
instead.
let me correct here.
One second, let me finish. Yes. Amongst the OBCs, and this is one of the most significant findings of this study, amongst the non-Yadav OBCs, 72% of those who were polled said they voted for the BJP. That's as big a consolidation as we saw amongst the minority community. A massive OBC consolidation in favor of the BJP. Big consolidation amongst the upper caste, the general categories as well. 74% saying they voted for the BJP. 74% of the upper caste in UP saying they voted for the BJP. So a big consolidation, and the Gathbandhan, Pradeep, being restricted to the Jatav Dalits, the Muslims, and part of the Yadavs.
I explain, Rahul, in a very simplistic manner. Last दो election, पिछला 2014 का election and assembly election 2017, SP and BSP fought separately and secured roughly 44% in assembly and 42% in general election, and BJP scored around 43% in both the elections. What is the difference then and now? One very simple, which is the what caste coalition you just now narrated, the Yadav, the Muslims, the Dalits. But here the difference is the Dalit with Jatav and non-Jatav, which is in almost equal number, 10%, 11 and 10%. And this time half of the non-Jatav voted in favor of BJP, and that's the only difference. So that is the reason why the Gathbandhan vote reduced by 10% from 42 to 38 in our study.
Because the non-Jatav Dalits have moved away.
Yes.
Which essentially means, on a larger level, Manisha Priyam, that Mayawati has failed to reinvent herself, that the idea of the BSP is an idea that's not generating traction amongst the new generation of voters.
So both, even in the Jatav leadership, remember the reaction she had when Priyanka Gandhi goes and meets Chandrasekhar Raman. So Mayawati today exists in combination with Akhilesh Yadav ji, but you also saw that, you know, in an era where, you know, leaders like Mr. Modi are tweeting directly to citizens and, you know, moving campaigns which you like or you don't like. Here is the Mayawati who still wants an Ajit Singh to open his shoes while going onto the stage. Now all these were images and stories that were going around, and therefore as much as the press here was writing whether the votes are going to be transferred or not, the fear on the ground was, when will she get so angry that this might just split apart? Even when
the BJP has GVL pulled the rug under her feet.
Yeah,
and Mayawati
she is a leader
a diminished force. She isn't what she used to be at one time in Indian politics.
No, Rahul, I'll tell you, in the how these people, how they played caste in politics before. One, you have a certain community appeal, certain caste appeal, and then you field candidates in a manner in each constituency, and you try to get the vote of that particular caste added to your core caste vote base. This used to be. This time in Lok Sabha elections, also in 2014, candidates, to the best of my understanding, I've traveled to some areas, candidates have not been seen by the people. people have voted for either for us in the name of Prime Minister Modi ji, or some voted against us also.
Sir,
But candidates have lost their importance.
I need to move the needle as well.
I'd be delighted. It's still true. SC candidates are rarely put up in general seats. See, Rahul, in the early 90s, BJP consistently won 50 plus Lok Sabha seats in UP. If you go back then, they did a lot of outreach with the OBC and SC groups. And you will find even then non-Jatavs, non-Yadavs gravitating to BJP. Otherwise, it wouldn't have got 51, 53, 58 seats. One thing I think we need to be careful is that for Mayawati, the real strength is she has been acknowledged as leader by the SP. Not only given more seats, but been praised in a manner which I don't think happened even with her mentor, the late Mr. Kashiram. Of course, the BJP is ahead, and one reason is its larger appeal. Its appeal is not only specific to A, B, and C. This aspirational issue has come up, but I don't think caste has disappeared. And you know, when you look at the figures, the smaller numbers that have voted among non-Jatavs, non-Yadavs, with SP, BSP, they are still significant. So it's not gone away anywhere. And we have to see, we have to also note that the state level BJP and national level are not always the same. In fact, it's striking. The upper caste representation in MLAs has gone up for the first time in 30 years. It's 45%. But I think to the credit of BJP and the others, in the national election, caste has not been the same.
Linked to this is the next question I want to put out on the show, which is the question about, did the Congress hurt or help the Mahagathbandhan in Uttar Pradesh? And Shama Mohammed is with us. Remember Priyanka Gandhi Vadra saying that the Congress is very smartly, as part of a strategy, put out candidates who would cut the BJP's votes and help the Mahagathbandhan. Did that happen? Remember in the Lok Sabha of 2014, BJP had 44% of the votes. In the assembly election, 41%. According to our exit poll, 48%. There's a 4% jump. Gathbandhan from 43 has come down to 39. The Congress was at 8 and is still at 8. So Pradeep Gupta, did the Congress hurt the Gathbandhan or help the Gathbandhan?
It's different in different pockets. For example, in Saharanpur, where the Imran Masood is contesting, he is very popular candidate. So there it hurts, and he could secure large number of Muslim votes. So there it hurts the Gathbandhan. But when it goes to Kushinagar, where RPN Singh is contesting, then Rajput votes voted in his favor. It means there it hurts the BJP.
So what's very clear, Shama Mohammed, from this data is, if the Congress had been with the Gathbandhan, potentially you could have been at 47% vote share. With the BJP at 48% vote share, that would have been a real fight. By staying away, the 8% vote share that you've got, net, on the odd seat it may be different, net, has made the BJP's task easier. Amit Shah should be sending a bouquet across to the AICC saying, thank you very much, you've helped me do well in Uttar Pradesh.
Rahul, please give me some time, because there were some questions before you had put in.
No, one second. Just answer the question that you're being asked right now, Shama, please.
Yeah, but I've been on this program for the last 45 minutes and I'm getting to speak now. Anyway, the question you've asked is that sometimes alliances work pre-poll because there are certain issues we have to come to an understanding. We have come to an understanding in many other states. Now in this particular state there was certain issues and the understanding was not there, but Mr. Rahul Gandhi has clearly stated that we will give them all sort of support. Now let's not forget, in 2004 the Samajwadi Party, the BSP and the Congress fought it separately, but we made a post-poll alliance. Clearly in the UPA there was a post-poll alliance with Samajwadi and the BSP. So anything can happen. It's not just about giving a bouquet to anybody. Sometimes alliances work pre-poll, sometimes alliances work post-poll. And another very important point I want to say is, somebody said the challenger lacks credibility. There was somebody who mentioned, I can't see anyone because challenger lacks credibility. I won't say the challenger lacks credibility. You must understand one very important thing, with due respect to you, Rahul Kanwal. In 2014, as the government, we were asked a number of questions by the media. Let me be honest. We were asked for policy paralysis, there was Nirbhaya, there was the corruption allegations and many other things. Even the petrol prices at that time was not 90. But in the past 2 years, and with due respect to you, I'm not including you also in that list or anything, but there were many media channels who have not asked the questions to the present government. With all the things which has happened, demonetization, job loss, all those things. I mean, so there was a different picture created created for the people.
No, I could say various things to answer your question. Point number one, read this week's edition of India Today magazine. You'll get some answers.
I said with due respect to you, Rahul. I said with due respect to you.
Question number two, it's the opposition's job as well to go to people and raise questions which they believe.
We have done that.
Obviously, the voters of India weren't listening to you, which is why Mahesh Rangarajan made the point that the challenger lacks credibility.
No,
I think you've really gone out and proven the point, because if you raise questions with a level of credibility and voters believed you, the exit poll wouldn't have been showing what it is.
Rahul, it's also the duty of the media.
Of course, it is the duty of the media, and we've been asking lots of questions, and I promise that we'll continue doing so.
In 2000, I said with due respect to you, with 2014, much more questions were asked. I'm asking you, all the panelists sitting there, whether it's the truth or not. The opposition were asked more questions than the government, the serving government for, where the job losses, when the petrol prices were high, the GST issue, the demonetization.
If you are asking the questions and people aren't believing you, that reflects the credibility of the opposition. Once again, I think you're basically boxing yourself in, and you're making the opposite point that you seek to make. You're saying you're asking questions, people aren't believing it. That's because the opposition lacks the credibility. That is a real problem. But I want to come now to the last question I'm going to put on the show. I want to zip through the rest of the questions. What happened to agrarian distress? There's a lot of talk of agrarian distress, especially in states like Maharashtra. If there was so much agrarian distress, what happened amongst those who identify themselves as farmers? So let's take on our screen right now data from Maharashtra for farm laborers and for farmers. 48% of the farm laborers say they voted for the BJP, 50% of those who are farmers. Farmers are those who own the land, farm laborers are those who work on the land. 50% of the farmers voted for the BJP, 34% voted for the Congress, those who are farmers, and 36% of the farm labor. Now, Mahesh Rangarajan, if agrarian distress was such a big issue, why are these farmers and farm laborers voting BJP?
It's too early to say, but even if you are worse off, and it is possible there are large sections of worse off for a simple secular reason, 80% of the plots today are under 2 hectares. Farm prices have not kept pace with their needs. The input prices have gone up, and we saw in the state elections, it was a major factor in the defeat of BJP in 3 governments, and I think they've taken some corrective steps since then. But the signal sent, so if you look at this 2,000 rupees in 3 lots which were to be given by the government, it was done in a matter literally of 3 weeks. So I think the signal going was crucial, and here there's something important about 2004. A lot of the debates in the opposition looked at 2004, and 2 states where Congress and allies did phenomenally well had been affected badly in terms of agrarian distress: Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra. Today the Congress has disappeared in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, and in Maharashtra, Sena BJP, even in a situation of agrarian distress, has managed to signal that it's trying. So okay, I think the signal and trust is very critical. I want to come to the last question we are putting on the show. What happened to all the trader unrest? You know, if GST and demonetization was such a big problem, how have the traders voted? So we take 2 states here, Delhi and Gujarat, because these are largely states considered to have a predominance of trading community. So I'll take Delhi numbers first. Amongst those who identify themselves as small shop owners and those who are self-occupied, 52% of those who are self-occupied voted for the BJP, 46% of small shop owners voted for the BJP, 32% of self-occupied voted for Congress, 27% voted amongst the small shop owners. This is the Delhi number. Let's take the Gujarat data. 63% of those who are small shop owners voted for the BJP, 67% who are self-occupied voted BJP. What's very clear from this, Sandeep Shastri, is that amongst the small-time traders, despite demo, despite GST, they've still stuck with the BJP.
Rahul, the assumption in the argument is that if the small trader was unhappy with GST, was unhappy with demonetization, they should have voted against the BJP. But I go back to the point I earlier made. Voting is not on a single issue. These are also groups which have traditionally been supporters of the BJP for a range of ideological reasons. And therefore, when an election comes up, while there may be an element of discomfort with demonetization, GST and all that, when that voter raises the question, who is it I go to vote for? A, your ideological commitment. B, seeing what is ranged against the party that you generally support, you go back to
this. Is the Surat example. We went to Surat post-demo. People were cursing the government for having done GST demo the way that they did. and yet in the end all of them voted for the BJP. So it's a bit like that the BJP's core supporter has gone for an entire generation voting BJP. इतनी आसानी से बदलता नहीं. BJP is very lucky in that way. If this was the Congress voter would have jumped. Their voters more ideologically committed and therefore less likely.
No, it's not just luck. I'll take that. It's not just luck. Initially, people, you see, we are resistant to change. As a country, I think we want things to go the way they have all along gone. So initially, people were upset by the teething troubles. But today, I can tell you, the same traders who complained initially are saying this is a far better system than what we had earlier. A lot of manufacturers, small manufacturers today say we don't have the problem of Inspector Raj that we faced in the earlier regime. So it's actually become a GST is a winner. It's not a loser. It's actually winning us votes today in this election.
No. GST is still, no, just a minute. GST is still a matter of complaint. GST still remains a matter of complaint. My fieldwork in Varanasi, lots of the traders don't like GST, but everything else about Mr. Modi trumps over GST. And the one thing that they additionally said in Varanasi, which is a counter to Surat, when I asked them that if it is so problematic, why aren't you voting for somebody else? Then they asked me, कौन खड़ा है मोदी जी के खिलाफ और दूसरी अगर इनको नहीं दूंगी तो ये अगवा पार्टियां अगवा करने वाली because they also have memories of Shivpal Yadav being strong in an erstwhile regime and they said इनको नहीं दूंगी तो अगला करने वाली पार्टियों को दूंगे क्या
amongst the traders Rahul Srivastava,
nobody else stands up to
there's been
Modi.
A full generation that's never voted for anybody else except the BJP, so the BJP can punch them, poke them in the eye, they'll crib and they'll curse, but in the end they'll stay with the BJP.
Rahul, when I went to UP during 3 phases, I found that there is a large number of traders unhappy with GST and demonetization. But as Sandeep ji also said, there is a crisis that they are worried about unstable economy and unstable governments, what they bring. And they feel that if there is an unstable government with, say, the Gathbandhan and others coming together, they may not bring in. See, several traders, for example, told me that if you are part of a construction business, if there is a focus on 3,60,000 on Nyay being given out to people, if there is farm loan waiver and others, the government investment will go down, which means that the kind of business we get from these government investments will go down. So our profits and all the economic activity will slow down. I think there is a great sense of personal profit and businesses that comes in when Narendra Modi comes in. They think Narendra Modi is a much more stable economic option
okay, so
than the
Gathbandhan. Strangely enough, in 71, there was a very strong Grand Alliance. It had some of the tallest political leaders. And even 6 months before, polling was not so developed. Nobody would have said Congress party will come with 353. And very similarly, people felt the Congress has a leader who speaks and listens. And I think that losing is no great crime. One should remember BJP lost 2 elections, 2004 and 9. The opposition needs to introspect. This doesn't mean losing, I mean, it's going to happen in an election. But I think your point is very, very important. People who are disgruntled may still be with the government because they think it needs to be given another chance. Kaam adhura hai is something you keep hearing. The work is unfinished. Let them finish. Okay. They've only had 5 years.
These are all very sharp, very incisive insights. Provided, of course, the exit poll comes true. Otherwise, we'll be re-looking. And then, for us, it's fantastic. We'll get another opportunity.
Gupta ji has taken full responsibility.
I've taken full responsibility, and we will again and again get on to the same point. Vikalp kahan hai? Where is the alternate? In everything, whether it's farmer distress, whether it's GST, or whether it's unemployment, everywhere the question is, what is the alternate?
Okay, so we slip into a break right now. I hope you enjoyed this broadcast. If you have more questions around our exit poll, send them to us. We'll either set up another television show or we'll answer them for you through stories that we put on our website or through responses that we give to you on social media. Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you would love to.